the what's it called? Who was the
A
guy
lot.
from A Team?
I
BH
was
Rockus.
I was thinking more like Phelps.
Phelpsy.
Yeah.
Phelpsy only had, what has he got? 8, 16? What's he
Yeah, I
got?
was gonna say like 16, like 18.
Yeah.
I don't even know where my mic cord is now.
I saw him at a golf club out here a little while back. I think I told you the story or not, but I saw him at a club out here, and I was just in there. I don't know what I was doing, and he was sitting at the bar with a buddy, and it was like there was nobody in there. It was like those two and a couple of people eating, and I like double take. I was down at the end of the bar, and I got like a couple Gatorades or something, and then I walked out, and I was like I was like this. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, what do I do? I'd like to say something. So I didn't do anything, and I walked out in the parking lot, and I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Like it's. I mean, God. I mean, it's the highest decorated Olympic athlete ever. I'm gonna
All
go
time.
say something or do an autograph. And I walked back in, and then I was like, I just got this feeling. I was like, nah, I'm not. And then I left. And
No,
so
I'm not gonna do it
I'm
now.
not.
You get
And
back to the parking lot. You know what?
you know what? And then the guy's like, what? Okay, just do it.
Nah,
He comes out and he's
nah.
like, I see. So I told a couple of the buddies at the golf club that time, that I saw him. And they're like, well, luckily you didn't, because there's multiple stories of that guy just like being a complete jerk to people that ask. Now, maybe he was intoxicated when that happened. Maybe they're not true. I don't know,
Maybe he
whatever.
needs to pull more bongs.
But he's not, yeah, maybe. But I guess that you go up and ask him and he just like tears you up. And and I'm sure they have those days where you're just like, his girl just gave him a berating and he's like, not now, not
Yeah.
today.
No
Yeah.
autograph.
Yeah, he's at the golf course chilling.
No stories about swimming.
I will not show you how to do a stroke.
Yeah. No, not give you any tips on your side strokes.
I'm telling you, I have been watching like a lot of triathlon and Ironman type stuff,
Yeah,
videos,
that's
and
how you do
watching
it.
because of the swimming part. Swimming is
That's the
interesting.
thing
It's
that
not
Rachel
at
hates too, dude.
all. Well, it's not at all. Look, I still have sunscreen on for my runs today. It's not
Oh
at
yeah.
all. Like how, if you've never been taught, like me, never been taught how to swim. I taught myself in Tim Mahalik grandparents' pool.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was watching, which is not recommended, kids, if you're watching. But like,
I think it's
so
legal.
like the whole like the way you stroke, and the guy was like, dude, I'm just like, that's not how I swim, for one, and I can't wait to try like the real way. You know how you like come into the water and like glide in. It's not like this.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
You know
you're
what I
not
mean?
trying. You're not trying to flail and like grab the
It's
water,
like
right?
you come into the water and then like come back, and I'm just
Scoop
like,
and
and so
pull. Yeah.
when I first knew that you streamline, and I've tried that, it's like it does. You like, it's so cool. It's
Well, when
really
I was
cool,
little,
man.
how they taught me was they said pick an apple and
Yeah.
then put it in the basket. Pick an apple, then put it in the
I'm sure
basket.
Phelps has a little bit different technique, but it's
His
he's
coach
like,
wasn't probably yelling, pick an apple, put it in the basket.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
the guy's got me on his apple orchard, like picking apples all day. He's trying to
It's
Miyagi
some
him, and it's not.
Miyagi thing again. I don't know. It's Jones thing.
We got to come up with that. So you're wearing medals. We've been talking
It's
about
gonna get heavy.
triathlons,
Hang on
this
real
and
fast.
that.
Let me take this
Yeah.
shit off for real.
Oh, it's too heavy for my mouth. You think Phelpsy complains about how heavy his medals are? You, you, I was saying,
Sorry,
I
that
was,
sounded like I just dropped a whole entire dish or a silverware drawer down the stairs.
I was saying, you think Phelps complains about how heavy they are? These are so heavy. I can't
So-
even. I mean, I just
Look, I ran a half marathon and did 30 obstacles in the mountains of Mount Everest.
Kandahar.
But this little tiny piece of metal, a little heavy. Hang on,
It's
Joel.
a little
A
chafy.
little heavy.
He's like-
A little heavy.
so we've been talking about we've been talking about triathlons and then like Ironmans, because that's something that I really want to do. I got two fraternity brothers who, I'm not putting you guys down here because I love you both, but like the physical specimen of like people, I wouldn't have thought these guys are like Ironmen, but it's up here too, and they knocked it out and they sent me their training plans. I'm excited.
100%.
Which they've like paid for, and they like, here, have anything I have is yours. They
I
want
love it.
how you would be. You want, if somebody's excited about it, you want them in.
Start pouring information in there.
So we started talking about that, and then you told me about, I didn't know you had that many Spartan races under your belt.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't know you did. I mean, good for you.
Since like 2015. So 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. So
Who-
4 straight years.
So like the first one, whose idea was it? Like, how did because the first one's kind of the big deal. You don't know
Yeah,
what you're
so-
getting into. It's like,
So it was 2014 and it was in the fall, and it was so about 6 years ago. And oh, nice. And I like it. I like it. I'm starting to redo some of my stuff. I just got to clean some of it out. I just got the bins in here. I just started cleaning the board off and shit. I'm gonna redo some stuff too. But so I was watching random shit on TV, and Rachel travels a lot for work, or at least she did before the vid. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
she would be gone for like the whole week, probably 2 out of the 4 weeks a month. So like half the time she was gone. And I was kind of depressed because winter's coming up and I wasn't feeling it, and I was a little bit overweight and out of shape, and I didn't have a job. Like, I was between jobs too because my contract just ran out with the last company I was working with, and shit wasn't working, right? So I was watching random shit on TV, and there was like this like late night ESPN thing where they're like Spartan race, just like Goggins story kind of, and I was like, huh, what the fuck is this? And it was like these guys that were running through, and girls too, because the girls were fucking awesome as well, that running through this like obstacle course. And I'm like, holy shit, this looks intense. So how you can click on the guide, and I saw that there was like a marathon of Spartan races on. I was like, I'm watching this shit nonstop. I don't even think I slept that night because I was so enamored and like enthralled with this whole concept of like, being uncomfortable. And this guy Joe DeSena would, cut in, and Saul Masakela was the announcer, and Saul's the shit. And there was just so much about it that was like fucking perfect at that time. And so I start watching these things, and I'm like, I'm fat, I'm out of shape, I'm overweight, I'm depressed,
I'm all
I need some
these.
motivation.
Yeah.
This sold me, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I got to get my ass in gear. I got to start doing some stuff. So I did, so I started looking into a Spartan race, and Joe DeSena kept saying, just sign up, just commit, just commit, just commit. Then you'll do what's necessary to show up. And I was like, he's right. I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit. So I bought me and Rachel a Spartan race in Chicago as a Christmas present in
I didn't
like
know you were gonna
November.
say. I didn't know you were gonna say Ann Rachel. So I bought me a. So I
Yeah. So I
bought me
bought
a.
me and myself for Rachel and a Christmas present. And it was one of them combo couple presents. And it
I
was a
like.
Spartan race, a sprint, nice and easy. And I told her, I'm like, hey, do this, because she's all about that stuff too. And I showed her some of the Spartan videos when she came home, and she was super cool about it, and she thought it was super interesting too. And she's all about fitness and everything, as you know.
Yeah.
And so she was in, and we're like, okay, it's next summer, so we have all this time to train for it. We got to get a plan together, like you're saying right now,
Nice. Yeah.
with the triathlon type shit, running, working out, eating better. So just like Joe DeSena said, just because we signed up, it changed things. You just thought about things
So
different.
cool.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So we get to the Spartan race, and I'm thinking I'm all right. I'm gonna do okay here. I don't know what to expect. I'm a little nervous. I watched some YouTube videos and shit, but I didn't really know what to expect. So I get through this Spartan race, and during the Spartan race, like you said, it was all mental, really. And this was the short one. It was the 5K with like 30 obstacles,
They call
super
it
easy. Maybe
most of
not
a
even like
sprint or
25.
something like
Yeah,
that,
the
right?
sprint.
The sprint. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm just like, dude, I struggled, and I failed a lot of obstacles, probably like 7 or 8. And every time you fail an obstacle, you have to do 30 burpees. And
What
after
does
like,
failing an obstacle mean? Like you couldn't
sure,
physically do it, or
sure. So I'll explain. So like I said, there's 25 obstacles. So for example, one of the famous ones is a spear throw. So they give you fucking spear, and they have this hay
love
bale
it.
that's shaped like a Spartan about 30 feet from you, about 30
Yeah.
feet from you. And they have this like railing where you can't pass it. And you
Yeah.
have to take this fucking spear, and you have to throw this thing and javel it into this Spartan warrior that's made out of hay bales. And if it
Finish him.
sticks, you
Yeah.
pass. If it doesn't stick, or if you miss, you fail. And then you go to this little section, this little burpee section with all these people doing fucking burpees, and somebody watches your ass. And you
Ooh.
yeah, you have to do 30 of these things. And you're
Okay.
thinking 30 burpees, yeah, no big deal.
No. Yeah.
After about 90 burpees, dude, you're so dead and you're so gassed just from doing fucking burpees. The 5K doesn't even matter anymore. It's like the
Do.
burpees are killing you. So
Yeah.
you're like,
Okay. That's a good
you're
point.
walking, you're walking up to the next obstacle, and you're looking at it, and it's like, that's a
With
40
dead
foot
arms.
fucking rope
Yeah.
that's covered in mud with no knots, and I have to climb it. And if I don't get to the top and ring the bell, I got to go do 30 more burpees. I just did 30, like literally 2 fucking feet ago. If I can't get to the top of this rope, I'm fucked. So
That's good motivation right there too.
to
Yeah.
learn how to climb a rope, dude. And I'm telling you this, and guess what's at the bottom? a gigantic fucking pool of mud. So you have to walk through the mud to get to the rope that's muddy as fuck because everybody that's tried it and fallen and into the mud keeps trying to go back up it. So the mud
Yeah.
is just the rope is destroyed,
Yeah, there's no way like you're gonna
I've
even
done it.
hold on to it.
I've done it, dude, because you have to do it like the
You gotta
tactically,
wrap
where
your
you
leg
wrap
around.
yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's like a little practice spot in the beginning before the race even
Oh,
starts where you
okay.
can practice all this shit.
Is
But
that
that's
rope
what I
muddy?
mean. What's that?
Is
Yeah,
that
it's
rope
exact.
muddy?
There's a bunch of different
Okay.
ones. There's a
All
there's
right.
a couple, beginner ropes. There's some
Yeah.
advanced ones. They do even contests and shit like pull up contests, push up contests, rope climbing contests. In the staging
This is cool.
areas.
Yeah, in like the
Yeah.
stadium or whatever, the village or whatnot.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the little
Okay.
village, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you fail an obstacle like that, you do 30 burpees. And like I said, dude, you get to these obstacles, and there's one that's called the Atlas carry, and it's an 85-pound stone. So it's a gigantic concrete boulder. That's huge. It's like
Let me guess.
this,
It's fucking wet and muddy.
Yes, and you have to carry it from one end to the, and it's in a hole because it's so heavy, Joel, that everybody that's dropped it, it's created this hole. So you have to
Yeah.
like rock it and like
Get
get
it
it to
out.
move out of this hole before you can even get underneath it to pick it up. And you're in full squat. So now you have to squat this bad boy up to even walk to the other side, which is like, you have to go like 50 feet to the other side of this thing. Then here's the craziest part. You have to drop the stone, and then there's a sled that's attached to two metal pins, and the sled is on the other end, and it's filled with rocks, and it's on a chain. You have to pull the chain with the rocks and the sled all the way over to you. Once it hits the post in front of you, then you have to pick the ball back up and carry it over to the other side, drop it back down, then walk over to the sled, grab the sled, and
Pull
drag
it
it all the
back.
way back into the position to start it all over, and then you can go.
And that's one obstacle.
That's just
Well,
one.
that yeah. And that's after you've done 90 burpees. If you've done 90 burpees and
And
climbed
ran
wet
two
ropes and
miles.
just fucking awesome, man. I can't wait. I can't wait
Dude,
because
that's what's up.
yeah, I'm excited about that. And so, okay, so like the first one, you get this little package, you get into that, and then I'm sure there's like this. Well, two reasons. You're like, first of all, I'm doing it again regardless, and second of all,
Right.
I want a better showing than I had this last time. Now I'm
I realized
like type of
how
thing.
out of shape I was. I realized how much I had to work on. I realized how far I needed to go. I realized that I had a direction, that I had at least some sort of plan, like you said, to get to the next Spartan race. I
Did you,
was excited about signing up for the next one. I was excited about watching them on TV again,
yeah,
following the whole lifestyle.
yeah.
I started listening to the podcast with Ben Greenfield and Hunter McIntyre, who were two of the top dudes at the time. Getting tips from them on working out, on sleeping better, eating better. That's kind of how I found On It, because they were sponsored by On It. I didn't know about On It before Spartan Race, and
Yeah.
then I found out about a whole bunch of cool shit through Spartan Race. So it was like the Mecca, dude, and that's what kind of launched me
That's like how
into the
you
betterment thing.
betterment or
Like,
better
yeah,
man thing.
just like the personal development thing. That's a better word.
Oh,
Personal
yeah,
development thing. Like where I was like before that, I kind of was like, like how we always talk about, you're in a corporate job, you kind of feel that soul crushing, monotony.
yeah.
You feel years passing by. You feel like you're not accomplishing as much as you do, and it starts to get you depressed. That Spartan spark is what got me out of that and
See,
into the spot that I am today.
that's what I'm trying to impart on people like recently is that like and even people very close to me that are having issues in life or whatever it is, and it's like if you're not getting it from your job, if you're not getting it from somewhere, then just
Right.
give it to yourself. Like the self-confidence and the determination and the just like I said this to my friend at lunch today, my buddy Reed, and thanks for coming out, Reed, because we had just had a great talk. And it's like when all else fails, I can go out and I can run 5-6 miles and like I know I won't quit on myself. And it's like I
There you go.
have that like pride that I can go do that. So it's like and I'm in control of that. And so if I'm not getting what I want out of my job or this and that, I can go and I can punish myself or I can just improve myself. But it's something about then and now I see why people that finish things like this have so much more self confidence.
Oh,
Even my
dude.
buddies that were in the house, like my one friend Mark. And Mark, if you see this, like I didn't know you were doing these things at the time, and I'm speaking to you now. But man, I noticed the change. Like confidence wise, and it's just something about inside you that you can do. And a funny thing I think I
So
shared
cool.
this a little while back, but when I was in a fraternity, we had to stand in a hallway for like hours, like
Mm-hmm.
all day for a week, pretty much.
Yeah,
You got to go to class and you had to
the
come back and
classic
just stand
hazing
there.
shit.
Yeah. And it
Yeah,
was like, but after that week, you kind of knew that like you could kind of withstand some minor pain of just standing around just
yeah.
because you knew you kind of went through this thing. And like that's what, if you're not getting something out of your life, start running, like do this, because you'll come out of these things with so much self-confidence. What happened to you maybe during one of those? Did you have any, besides like the fitness side of it, did you have any
Yeah.
aha moments when you were like in the middle of that race, like not like I know what I want to do with my life, but like I know something, and maybe it was just those, maybe you just told me, but I don't know, I was just searching for like, some sort of like aha thing that maybe you remember, and maybe not, like maybe it was just because you ended up actually meeting Aubrey Marcus out of that whole On It thing, like
Yeah.
who's a founder of On It and everything. Like
Right.
you had
Yeah.
that came some really cool stuff for that. But do you remember
Oh,
any
exactly.
aha
Because it was
moments out of
just on
that?
the early, you get in early enough on things, you can meet, some really cool people if that said thing just blows up. I mean,
And
that's all
those
it really
people
was.
respect that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the people that you interact and I interact with early on in our podcasts. It's like
Right.
you respect those people for being there, and you're
Just
well,
trying.
and you have time to give to them, and it's
Yeah.
fun because
You support
yeah,
them.
yeah, it's
Yeah. You
great,
do
man.
what
I
you
love
got to
that
do.
shit. So then you did the one, and then it was like gates off for a little while. You're like,
So
let's do this, right?
So back to kind of what your question though. So
Yeah.
while you're running these Spartan races, you at the beginning, you kind of have that type of feeling where you're like, oh man, this is so great. I'm gonna test myself. It's gonna be great at the finish line. I'm gonna feel all this joy and stuff like that. And you kind of go into this to every race with that same mentality, but then you get to the grind. Like when you're rolling under
Can't
barbed
wait.
wire for
I
an
can't
entire
wait.
football field
Mm.
and you're so fucking dizzy you're going to throw up, and if you move you're just going to get torn up with barbed wire because it's real barbed wire, it's not bullshit barbed wire, you just get
Yeah.
torn up. And so like, and you get stuck, and so like the barbed wire's got you, and you're like tangled, and you're like shit, and then you're trying to get out of it, and then it's like another piece gets you, and you're just fucking
And then
souped
like
up in this shit.
then
And
you
like I said,
relax for like 1 second, then it tears you. You're
it
like,
just tears
whoa.
you
You know
apart,
what I mean?
dude.
You just
Yeah.
barely. Oh,
Yeah, and my
I'm
shoulders
sure.
get all cut up because, like I said, I roll
Yeah.
and side to side like this, and my
Oh, okay.
shoulders are too wide, so they hit the barbed wire. So
Too
I try
big,
to,
man.
and if you go under the parts where it's a little more room, it's pure jagged rock. So you're rolling over jagged
So
rock.
every time you think you're
It
gonna
doesn't,
like
yeah,
be
get an
smart about
easy,
it,
yeah,
uh,
you're fucked. It's
they
jagged ass
it's like they
rock.
thought about that.
Hmm.
It's
So
almost like they entice you to go that way.
do they
That's
do?
funny.
They con you into it, and it ends up being the way worse option for sure. And the thing is about Spartan races, though, like I was saying, is you get to a point to where the only thing you can think of is literally like moving your foot in front of the other one. You know what I mean? Like it gets that bad. And or like I said, you're on the rope and you have it wrapped around your leg, and it's like one more move to get to the bell, and there's people screaming at you at the bottom like, you got this, come on. And your hands are literally
Oh,
falling off, like you can see like the palms start to blister, and there's blood coming out of your fucking hands and shit because you've been hanging onto that rope too long, and there's too much pressure in your hands and your legs are weak, and all you have
oh,
to do is just pretty much stand up in that in that military move
to
with
get
the
yeah,
wrap.
yeah.
And you stand up and you hit that fucking bell, dude. Like that's all you're thinking is just like, just stand up, just stand up. You can't think of anything else. And sometimes at one of the Spartan races, one of the supers that I ran, they fucked with you at the second obstacle. They're like, you have to memorize this code. If you forget it at any point when you're supposed to repeat it, you have to do X, Y, and Z. I couldn't remember what it was. And I'm like, what? And they're like, C691378. And I'm like, what did you just say? They're like, later. And I'm like, what? And so now you're like trying to, you're like, C6918. You're trying to think of ways to
Good for
like
them though,
remember
because
it,
that's
dude.
almost like a meditation. Like, because if you focus on the mantra as opposed to anything else, except
Dude, I don't
you
know what
won't.
it was
Yeah,
for. It was a
that's
mind
funny.
fuck,
That's
dude.
so funny because it
Yeah.
probably didn't mean anything, right? Or
It
did
didn't. At the
yeah.
end, they didn't say dick. They just were fucking with us. And I
That's
was like, they
so
never asked for it.
great.
They never did shit. And
You
I'm just
know,
like, are you kidding me?
this is the perfect time to say this because, people will say, well, I work out. Otherwise, if I didn't work out, it's not good for me. It's not good for me because they get into drugs or they get into whatever. They get into thinking too much, right? The anxiety and all the depression and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I never understood it. But if you go and you get yourself to that point,
Yeah.
you won't be thinking about your fucking
No.
job, or you'll be thinking, I just want to do this with my life. I don't want to work anymore. I just want to be like a pro athlete.
No,
But
I
you
just
won't
want to
be- you
get
can't
through
think
this
about-
lake.
Yeah, you can't
I'm
think
about to
about that
drown.
stuff. You can't think about. That's why they do that. You have to get to that point where you can't think about the worry. You have to
Right.
think about. And I remember
They
went
beat
rafting.
it out of you, dude.
I went rafting for the first time, where I felt like we could get hurt. Like,
Yeah, you could
like class
die.
4, class 5 rapids. I was like, we could actually, and they said people fall out. A person in front of us died. Actually, we found
yeah.
out later. And one of the people fell into the river, and it was somebody in Nebraska that Jenny knew. Small world, fell off a
It is
horse,
a
floated
small
down, never
world.
saw her again.
That's what I'm
And
saying, dude. You
But
never
when
know.
you get into that position, when I was in that position for the first time, I felt, holy shit, my life is on the line.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I realized the benefit of this, because I was like, wow, it takes all the worrying about the stuff at work,
noise.
worrying about a parking ticket or whatever you did,
some
and you can't
bullshit.
think
Your
about it.
breakfast
And
was
so,
undercooked.
yeah, or
Whatever
somebody
the
messed up
fuck.
your latte, and it's
Yeah.
like, now
Some
now
guy
you're
was taking
like-
too long at a red light or some shit.
some
Yeah,
guy
it doesn't
couldn't stand
matter.
up on the rope at the last second because his hands were
And everybody was waiting, and their times
I
were all
thought that's
fucked.
what you meant. I thought you were going to tell me, like, they're
all
like,
cheering
hurry
you
up,
on.
I got to
Dude,
get up
there's
this
like
rope."
20 ropes. There's like 20 ropes. Most people stand at the rope for like 10 minutes and just look at it going, come
I
on,
can't
man,
believe
you
I
can
have
do
to do
this.
this.
You can do this. Come on,
Oh,
you
I
can do
can't
this.
wait.
Dude, hundreds of people, dude, they flow through there. And then Joel, it gets horrible. It gets horrible. So you're struggling. And like I said, I'm like tripping, because of the hallucination from being like too fucking tired,
Oh,
like 10 miles in or something. And I'm sitting there, and then some guy will just cruise past me like on auto fucking pilot. And I'll be like, hey, and he was, no joke, he was in a real life Spartan costume. Like he had the little skirt with no
yeah,
shirt. He had
yeah.
a shield and a sword.
Ooh.
But he was in cowboy boots. Okay. And he cruises past me. And I'm like, Rachel, see this fucking dude? And Rachel's like, yeah, that's insane. And we're like, hey, man, we love the costume, man. You're kicking ass. I can't believe how good you're doing in this costume. He's like, this is my third trip around. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah,
Whoa.
third trip.
But that was like a 5K one, right?
No, that was the middle one. That was the 10K.
10K, so it's like
Yeah.
12 miles.
That was his third time around.
Wow, that's intense.
In cowboy boots.
In
the fucking with a shield and a sword. Dude, I've seen dude, there was a guy
There's
at
no
the
way.
I swear to God.
I mean, I believe you, but I'm just saying there's like no way. That's cool.
And you know what? You know what's crazy is I saw him again as we were coming off the course. There's parts where you're doing this. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
like, I don't even
guys
do
that
the
are-
obstacles. I just do the
he
burpees
just
and I keep
keeps
going.
No, he nails all the obstacles. These
know,
dudes are
just
fucking animals, man. It's insane. In that Phoenix race over in Arizona, I was actually in Laughlin.
Mhm.
And
That's Nevada.
that one, we were struggling again. And me and Rachel, it's windy. There's sand everywhere. We're breathing sand in. We couldn't fucking see. We were totally underprepared. And we're struggling again. And there's these huge sand dunes. You have to go up and down and up and down and up and down. And it just kills your legs, dude.
Yeah, running in sand.
And so I get through this section of hills, and I'm like just beat, dead tired. And I'm sitting there again, just waiting, catch my breath for a second to assault the next huge ass sand mountain. And some dude comes cruising past me again, like no big fucking deal, no legs. He's got the two things, like the two springy things. I don't even know what they're called,
Yeah.
but he's got no legs, and he's just cruising past me.
Aesthetics.
And I go to him again, and I'm like, hey, dude, that's so fucking cool. I can't believe how awesome, you are with no fucking legs. You're tearing it up out here, making all
Yeah.
these other people with two healthy legs look like fucking fools. That's intense.
Yeah.
I'm like high-fiving the dude. He's like, thanks, motherfucker. And he's like, I'm military. My legs got blown off and shit. And I'm like, well, of course you're fucking military. You're an animal. I'm like, that makes sense, bro. So we're running with him for a while. And he says to me again, he's like, yeah, this is like my third time around today. And I'm like,
wow.
what the fuck? Yeah.
That's
It's like-
awesome.
I'm like, doesn't it like hurt like where the nubs are, attached to the actual like
Yeah,
prosthetic? And he's
yeah.
like, no, because we get this like, like that Tempur-Pedic foam type of shit. And he's like, we
Hmm.
pad it with all that type of jazz. And I'm just like, makes sense. He's like, we do. You do get blisters. You do
Yeah.
get, it does get beat up and shit. But he's like, it calluses just like anything else and stuff. And I'm just like,
Damn.
damn, dude, that's so fucking crazy.
So you've done all the distances, and the longest distance
Yeah.
is like it's a half, or is it just half
Half
marathon, or is the
marathon.
long? Okay, so that the longest distance is that one. It's the 12 mile, 12 point
Yeah.
whatever, two
Yeah.
miles or
3 or something.
1 miles or
Yeah.
three, whatever it is, or
Yep.
13.1.
And dude, I'm gonna tell you this too. Every single Spartan race I've ever raced, I've had some sort of tracker, and I'll start it right at the beginning, try to time myself, try to do all that shit. And they have these mile markers, like physically, like with a fucking stick in the ground and a piece
Yeah,
of paper. It's like mile 5,
yeah,
and I'm always looking. I'm like mile fucking 5. Like I'm on like mile 8. What does
yeah,
this say? Mile 5.
yeah.
And I don't think it counts all the switchbacks and stuff to go to the obstacles and shit. I think it's just the path for running. So like
Uh,
there's a bunch of factors in there where it's like this is a 5K, but literally you're going to be running for like 8 miles. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because you're cutting into these obstacles, and you have to do something in the obstacles, which
yeah,
could be running. And
yeah,
then you come back and you're back on the trail to run. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
it's
I
way
get you.
worse than you think. And it's
That
one
makes
of those
sense.
things where you're like, I got like a mile left. And I heard somebody say that. I'm like, no, you fucking don't, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, you got like 2.5 at least.
And then you think like the running, like don't even think of it then as like a running event because it's
No,
not a running event. Like it
it's
doesn't
not.
matter if it's 10K or whatever the hell K it
Nope.
is. That's not even the factor because it's
No.
not a straight run. You're saying,
Oh, the
yeah,
running's the
that's
easy part. That's
insightful.
the break. You
Yeah.
run when you run, that's the break.
See, that's how I feel like what like a triathlon is going to be like, or like not even the triathlon, but like an Ironman is like the riding the bike is going to be the break. Doing the
Yeah.
swimming, get me on a bike, which I have a theory I want to talk to you about, and then the run. And so we'll go from there, but it's going to be a while. But now I was so impressed that you had that many under your belt. I mean, you're like, I've done this, I've done that one. I was like, oh my God, you have this was something that, wasn't one or twosies here. Like you got into
Yeah.
it. And that's really, really amazing. I went
Dude,
for a run
Rachel did
today.
even more. She signed up her entire team to do a fucking Tough Mudder, which is the same thing as Spartan.
Yeah.
Actually, Spartan ended up buying Tough Mudder. She
Um,
she signed her whole team up at work to do this because she thought it was such a great team building exercise and so important, like you said, for confidence building and for,
yeah.
overcoming adversity and shit like that. And it was a huge hit.
Did you guys, so you went together. What was the pact? We're doing this together. Like, not just like, just
It
go if
wasn't
you need to
easy. We
go,
argued
or you waited for each
hardcore at a
other.
couple of the races where we were about to kill each other because you get to a dark place sometimes. There's some parts on
Yeah.
that course where you get to a dark fucking place, and if somebody says something to you that you don't want to hear at that moment, you're gonna lash out.
Yeah.
You're gonna do some shit that you might not have done if you weren't about to fucking pass out from what's the thing where your kidneys start
Exhaustion.
failing.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? They start shutting down. I can't
Freaking
remember what it's called.
sepsis.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's something like that. Yeah, it's something crazy like that.
What do you,
But
but
yeah,
that can happen.
you get into some arguments, and
But
you
you
have to
said
coach each other
we're going to
through.
do this thing together, right?
Yeah,
Not like you're doing your time, I'm doing my time. We're going to get through everything together, which can
together.
probably be frustrating too if someone's not
and
getting through
and
something.
honestly, Rachel said something to me too about it. The first, or maybe it was the second one we did. She actually was looking for a little bit more assistance or togetherness, and she said that to me, like, hey, I wish you would have helped me over this wall, or if you would have helped me through this part because somebody else did, or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And to me it was like one of those wake up calls where maybe I was being a little too selfish in the journey. So yes, so then we ended up doing
That's a
another one
good
that was
talk.
a
Yeah.
slam fucking dunk, and that was the hard one in Glacier National Park.
Oh
And then
gosh.
when we came back from that one and we started inviting other people, so like Marco went, Matt went, um Matt's girlfriend went. So that was cool too. So we had a couple females, couple more males. So we all went, and that one we definitely all stuck together as a team. And dude, holy shit. The mud at this one, it was in Illinois. The mud at the course that we did with all those people, it was no joke. It was up to your knees in pure freaking like suck your shoes off. I had to stop and pull my shoes out of the mud like 5 times where they were lost, and I was just digging into
Oh
mud trying to
my
pull them out.
gosh.
Yeah, that's the thing you don't understand. Dude, your shoes, are so fucking important because like if you just go into it with just a regular gym shoes,
Yeah.
good luck. You
See,
know,
I
like you'll
we
be running barefoot.
we just did one of those last year. One of those just tough. I guess you could call it a tough. It was a mud run with
Yeah,
the obstacles, and it was 5K, and that's before I even started running. That was the second thing we did. First, we did the
it's awesome.
PCH where I worked the 5K, and that I had
Nice.
to walk. Like there were
Sure.
parts of it where I had to walk, and Jenny was like, coaching me, like, "Come on, bud,"
I love
because
it.
I was gassed. And now I ran a 5K today just as my workout. Like
As a
now I'm
warm
like
up.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like that's not my long run, and not that I'm in great shape, but I can do it. I can mentally just knock it out. I don't
You're
have
in
to
a better
stop,
spot.
which is
Yeah.
a better spot.
Yeah.
Um, but the team, because there were four of us, and having that where you're trying to run up the wet half pipe or quarter pipe, and someone's got their arm out, and it's like you always have your
I
team
love
with
that.
you
Yeah.
was so cool. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, come on, and you're
Yeah,
just
that
like,
was Tough
so
Mudder then, wasn't it?
somebody.
Because
Yeah, there were
I
like
think that's
25. They had the walls and
the
stuff, and
slip wall.
we get at the there was this that was the very last thing, and people run 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 run
Nice.
run run, and there's
Yep.
like 100 people up there,
Up on
and
the
you don't even
wall.
know the people. You're like, come
And
on,
they're
you just
grabbing like
grabbing
in a
for
fucking
people.
Die Hard movie, dude.
Dude,
You know?
we got to a point where we got to a point where the one of the people we were with had to climb up to the rope thing and then just put your legs over and come back down, and
Yeah.
she was deathly afraid of
Afraid of
heights.
heights.
And this is a brilliant girl,
Sure.
and she couldn't get, and like she was almost came down, and we wouldn't let her, but we just got out of her space and we waited, and she did. And I was so proud of her because we
Right.
witnessed her. Like, I mean, she was in tears, like, I can't, and
That's
she
the
did
beauty
it.
of this shit, dude. I've seen that happen all the time
Oh,
on Spartan
so
courses,
beautiful.
bro. It's
Yeah,
the
it was
same
so
shit.
great. Same stuff.
It's the
Yeah. Oh no,
same
it's the same
shit.
stuff. I just
Yeah.
loved that part because I was like, we pushed her. We tried pushing her, like, come on, come on, and then we could tell it was too much, and then we backed off, and then I was allowed to do that on her own, and then it was just so beautiful. I loved it, and I just said thanks for sharing that with us because
There you
it
go.
was like scary for her, like to some extent, and there's always going to be one of those things where somebody gets into that mode, and I was beautiful. So if you haven't done it, I can't wait, to do it. And to your point, where you can't, I was telling you the other day, I found this guy, Nick Barr, I think it is Bare or
Mm-hmm.
Barre, and he, ex-military, and he was doing an Ironman. And he said he was the night before, and he was looking at the ocean. He was in Florida, and he's like, you know what I can't wait for? I know I'm going to get to a point where I think I'm not going to be able to do it and
Mm-hmm.
continue on. He's like, and I can't wait for that part. And I immediately found him on Instagram, and he's got a few thousand, maybe 40K people following him, which is a decent amount. And I sent him a note. I don't know if I'll hear back, but I was like, just the fact that
Cares?
you said that,
Yeah.
that's why I'm following you, because that's what I want. I can't wait to get, and he's like, I can't wait to get to the hardest mental part of it. Like, that's what I want.
So true, dude.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's whether it's a 5 mile run or one of these, crazy things we're going to do.
I like it too because I get to that internal conversation and I literally will be like, um, there's no fucking way that I'm gonna stop right now and listen to you. There's no way that I'm gonna give up on this. And then you have that other conversation, but there's nobody watching. The only person that cares right now is you. You could literally just stop right now and you'll be fine. You've already worked really hard this week, and tomorrow you can definitely, it's going to be super nice.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to do all of this extra work.
Yeah.
You can stop right now. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
And then my other side of it will be like, dude, my legs hurt right now, but if I just keep running for like 2 more minutes, that pain will go away and I'll be able to run another 15. And then, the other voice will be like, but dude, but you might mess up your knee and then you'll be done for a month. Why would you risk that? So you have some of these like
Yeah.
really, really good, things that want to pull you
You're selling
down,
yourself real
you
hard
know
on
but
sometime. Yeah.
then but I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like that, you get to that point, and then
That's
you just
so
try to
cool.
zone it out.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's
it's
all
going
you
to be
can do.
exciting. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Start
So that,
breathing. You focus on your breathing. You
well,
just got to tone out that conversation in
well,
general then.
that's the one thing with the watch that gets me in trouble, because like, so I'm running, and I mean, I can tell when I'm really maxing, and I'll look, and I'm at 170, 172 heart
Oh,
rate,
heart
like
rate. Yeah.
getting
Oh
into
yeah.
like a 174, and I think, so I start backing down because I think that's redlining. But sometimes I'm like, maybe if I wasn't,
It
if
is
I didn't,
redlining.
yeah, it is. And if I
Hmm.
wasn't looking at it, would I just keep pushing? but actually that could be detrimental. So
It's
I'm glad
bad. So
I'm
here,
watching. Yeah,
I'll help everybody listening right now that's watching too, whatever.
yeah,
And you, do you know how to figure out your max heart rate?
yeah.
Uh, tell me.
So I don't know. It's something to do with age and weight
Yes.
and a percentage. I mean, I can't
Well, you're
remember. I
close.
always get between BMR and BMI, or but
BMI is
medical
totally different, but
is weight,
uh,
and then the other one.
so
Yeah.
just take 220 and then subtract your age. What is it?
Well, I don't even know how old I am. I'm 44.
So yeah, so let's
44.
just say 40s. So let's just say 40. So like
Let's say 40. So
180
180.
is like your max heart rate.
So if actually 44, so 180 and
It's
take.
like 176.
Yeah. So yeah, that is. I am maxing that out. I need to
Yeah.
not do that.
You should
You
be at
know.
80% max.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
doing a
try to
lot
back
of
it down
that.
a little bit more of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to see it. Then I'll usually back down to about 160,
That's all
and I
right.
like to try to keep it at like right like I don't like to keep it there, but I don't really if I think I'm right around 160, 159 once and then I feel like I'm
Yeah,
cool, but I need to look at that number because I am maxing. And granted, okay, maybe it's a little hotter out here.
it
That
is.
might redline me quicker, and
Big
so
time.
we'll see. But something about running I want to drop right now. What's on my
Tons
mind
of
is
stuff.
this. And Coach Bennett, the guy from this Nike Run Club app, is awesome. He'll say, "Look,
I love
you know,
coaches like that.
you had said when you the Kenyan pace thing you were telling me the other day
Yeah.
started a Kenyan. You're like, oh my god, it's
Knox
gonna be
Robinson,
fast.
baby.
So you start off slow. You know, he's like, just warm up because your body needs to realize you're running. So like,
Yeah,
give it a
something's
few
up.
minutes to understand that you're
It's
running
about to
now.
happen.
Not that you're just running to your car in the parking lot, or not just because
Or
you're
there's a
running.
fucking tiger that just jumped out of the
Yeah,
woods.
yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that thing. So it's like give your body a few minutes to understand that you're running, and don't worry, it will tell you when to go faster. You don't have to just start at your pace. And I've been noticing that like I'll run and maybe I'll get like a mile in and all of a sudden and I'll usually my body ends up speeding up, but all of a sudden like a mile goes and like my body I'll pick up the pace just without even thinking. Like you just start finding yourself clipping along easier. Like your
Yeah, it's like
body
that
will
autopilot
speed up
thing.
when it's ready, when it's warmed up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why my second mile, if I look at my pace times, my second mile is always like the best one. But
Yeah.
also because the first one I like click go and then I'm like, getting my phone ready as I'm walking and I don't start,
And
running
yeah,
for
you
a few
don't
minutes.
get into it for a second. Even yeah,
Yeah.
even a couple seconds. I usually have the first lap is like that second lap isn't even the best too because I'm still getting into the mode like you're saying. It's
Yeah.
usually the third or the fourth ones where I'm starting to click off or miles where I'm starting to click off my best miles.
Yeah.
And then like my fifth and sixth will be my, ones where I start to back it off again.
No,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. And I just wanted to say that like those two things were very important. Like first, let your body get into the fact that we are now running. Just because
That's
you
exactly
mentally
what
know
Knox
you're
Robinson
running, it
says.
doesn't know. And then the second part is that you'll speed up when it's time. Your body
Yeah.
will be ready to speed up and allow it to do that. I want to, it makes me want to look back into when we were like, paleo, everyone wants to go paleo and caveman days when we would wake up, let's just say, and go down to the river or wherever to get water or
Mm-hmm.
go ahead to hunt and get food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why I think waking up and moving like that is important. Now, I don't like to run out the door at 5:30 and like jack my heart rate to 160. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's not
that's
the
smart,
best
but
move
I
either,
think
dude.
maybe taking a 2 or 3 mile, like a 2 mile walk in the
For
morning,
sure.
maybe you are going down to the river to get, whatever, you're going to go collect some stuff to bring back. So I think that is so important. And you stress nothing but importance about the whole walking thing in general.
Dude,
Um,
walking
it's
just not even for like the physical aspect, but the mental aspect.
that's true. You talk a lot about that.
Like that's the
Einstein,
thing to
these
me
guys.
is all my favorite scientists of all time just walk. What was I gonna? I was actually gonna show you the picture from the book. I got it right
I'm going to
behind me.
pause it for a second. I got to use the restroom. I shouldn't have even said that, but I paused it.
Go. We're not live anymore. We're not live anymore. Maybe we still are. We're not recording though. All right, let's see here. This is the book. I wanted to show Olito. Where's that picture? Come on, Lonnie. There it is. December 14th, 1900. Planck and his son. In Berlin. This is where this dude came up with quantum physics. Walking around in the snow in the middle of nowhere with this kid.
Uh-oh. You know what's funny is I sit here and said, well, I'm pausing it, but we're live on YouTube. So
Yeah, that's what I thought.
what do you got here? So this says,
So yeah, so just to show you, like I was reading, in the quantum physics was
oh
pretty
yeah, you
much
told me that.
invented when Planck was walking around with this kid on December 14th, 1900 in the middle of nowhere, freezing snow everywhere. And the dude was he was confounded and, confused, and was trying to figure out one of the most impossible things that, in scientific history. Well, at least to start that process of thinking about the craziest shit in scientific history. And what does he do? He goes outside in the middle of a freaking blizzard in Berlin in the middle of winter and just starts walking around for hours until he figures it out. And then he goes to the physics academy the next day and freaking makes an announcement that changes everything forever.
See, that's why the driving a car has that effect on me too.
Sure.
And why probably why my podcast started when I was driving. I mean, that was time. It was perfectly dedicated time for me, but I know for a fact, like if I have something on my mind, like I'm going to go for a drive, let's go for a drive, or I'll go out and I'll just, if I'm upset, especially at night, I'll just go for a cruise.
Yeah.
And it's something like, cause you have to pay attention to the road, but if you're on the highway, you can zone out. And it's funny, I did a podcast on it when I was driving back to Illinois when I was by my mom and I was driving up. And then one of my favorite podcasts, I think I've sent it to you. I get it once a week by email by Kurt Steinhorst, and for the guy from FocusWise, and it's a 3-minute show.
Yeah. Okay.
Every day. And he then, like 2 months later, it's like, you know what? We went on a road trip, and I got to tell you, time behind the windshield like that is great time to think. So everybody's napping in the car, and you just sit there, and you're just like zoning, and you can just think about stuff.
Especially if you don't have music on.
Yeah.
Or if you have music with no lyrics.
No, yeah, you just, and sometimes, you know how when you get to that point, like if you do a 7, 8, 12-hour car ride or whatever,
Big
where
time rides,
you've already heard, you don't want to hear anything, you shut it all off.
Yep.
That's the time when that stuff goes down, man. And it's just, it does wonders. It's surprising. Now, if you're behind a Tesla and it's driving itself, I don't know if it has the same. I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just
honestly
messing with
think
you, dude.
it's even better
It
because then you
probably
can
is
like
better.
kind of pay more attention to your surroundings. And I'm not even joking. Like you'll notice shit that you've never noticed before, and you've been down that way 100 times.
No,
And it's just
true.
because you only can kind of look from here to here.
Yeah.
You can't really like sit there and like, oh, I didn't know that was over there.
Yes. I forgot to put the autopilot on.
Fucking autopilot.
Dude. So you're talking about Tesla. You're a couple months into the car, 2 months in. Well, you got it in September, so a month in or so. Like, what do you think?
Today was the earnings call. They had a beat on the earnings call again today. They posted fantastic beats and numbers and records all over the place financially. Boom, 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 deliveries, all that shit. So they're killing it. But
how's the car? I mean,
car wise,
yeah,
dude, it's so weird because like I was explaining this to somebody the other day. When you go now and you go to drive a regular car, like an internal combustion engine car, it's just everything doesn't work right. You know what I mean? Like the steering wheel's like, I'm doing this, and the steering wheel, but the car's not turning.
Everything is delayed.
Like there's so much fucking play and there's so much latency. Yeah. And then
latency.
like, with the gas too, I start to press the gas down and the car's still not doing anything. Then the car like engages, but it's still, like you said, on a delay. Then I'm like pressing the gas, and then I'm like waiting for this thing to kick in. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, okay, I got to hit the brakes, right? So I start to hit the brakes again. I'm hitting the brakes. Nothing. Then I like feel the brake a little bit. And I'm like, it's not stopping quick enough. So then I apply a little more pressure, and I'm like, like because the brakes are so fucking stupid in regular cars. Like I just cannot drive regular cars anymore because
funny.
everything is just so soft, and there's play, and there's It's just not tight. You know, like everything
Yeah.
about the Tesla is tight. When you press the gas, you go. When you lift your foot up, you stop. When you press the brake, you stop. There's no time delay. There's no
Yeah.
play in the steering wheel. Like literally, if I do this, I'm turning completely left.
Yeah.
If I do this, I'm turning 90 degrees right. Like
Oh
the
my
steering is
gosh.
that tight. You know what
Dude,
I'm
I mean,
saying?
yeah, I mean, the only
Yeah.
thing I can relate it to is like an electric golf cart. It's like
Yeah.
it takes off, and it's like
Now imagine it with the
it
craziest
goes.
suspension of all time.
Oh, geez.
You
Think
know?
about this: you're in your car now, a combustible engine car, which is so
Yeah.
funny to say. When you say internal, it just makes it sound so
ICE.
old, right?
It
So you're
is.
in your car, and you're at this, and it's just a stop sign, but there's a busy road right here,
Yeah.
and you're gonna try to go straight across.
Right.
Think about when you jam the gas on, it's like before you even
Yeah.
go, it's like there's
Right.
that.
Come on,
It's
come on,
like
come
trying
on.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's you have to time it. You're like, I don't even know if I'm gonna rev enough quickly. You
Bro.
drop it into a gear, try to brake torque through. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, you're
No, I
just
know.
gone. You're
I
just
haven't even test driven one, and I can't wait. I've been telling Jenny,
just don't
we got to
just
go do the
call and
test
do it,
drive,
man. I'm
but I
telling you,
was
you will
just,
love it.
I can't wait.
It's mind blowing because the car is so different in so many facets. Like you never have to use the brakes. You never have to fucking
So
even drive on the
crazy.
highways, really. They just released another update, so you get auto
What do
updates
you
when
mean
you're
you don't
just
have to
sitting.
drive on the highways? What does that mean?
So
Like,
like that autopilot feature, I just double tap my thing. It's a gear stalk. I double tap the gear stalk and it takes over for me. So like it'll steer, it'll brake, it'll stop, it'll go, it'll manage my distance, it'll see everything around me. And I can watch this on the screen on my AI screen to see what the AI sees. And you know, and the AI will alert me if it feels like something's confusing to it or something like that. It's not
yeah,
going to just throw me into the fucking wall. And this thing works
go
flawlessly.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Sorry, left. You know, nothing crazy like that. I think it's maybe happened twice, but compared to 3,300 times a day if humans are driving, but
That's right.
it's so true. And I mean, I've used this thing going 85 miles an hour down the road, and it's just dialed in. It's just locked into the middle of the road, and it sees the truck. Like if there's a huge semi coming next to you, and it'll even just slide over a little bit just to give the semi a little more room, you know,
Holy
and
crap.
it'll
Is it like,
recognizes.
Tony, at this speed, you really shouldn't be going. You really shouldn't be going
It
80
does.
because it like tries to warn. Like pro tip, don't
No,
do 80 in the rain. like
it won't.
like
Well,
golden
that's
tea.
different.
Pro
It'll let you
tip.
do 80, definitely. But it would, like, let's say I'm off the highway. If you're
Yeah.
not on the highway and autopilot's driving, if the AI is driving on regular roads, you can't speed. So like it'll let you go 5 over and that's it. And the AI will see the speed limit signs and it'll change its max allowable speed based on the speed limit sign. And I mean it's so, and you'll
Wow.
see it on the AI's
That's
screen.
if you're in full self or full autonomous driving mode or full self
No,
driving mode, right?
this
Autopilot.
autopilot is on all of them.
But I mean, like what I'm saying is, if you just want to drive the car, you can go as fast as you want. It's
Sure.
not going to govern.
Hmm.
It's not a
No,
governor
no, no.
over.
Yeah, you can
I figured
fucking.
that because you guys talked about how fast it goes, and just
Yeah,
I see people all the time. They make a right turn and they're like, I'm like, damn,
0 to
there it
60
goes,
in
man.
3.8 seconds.
But that's the version you have because I
Yeah,
know there's like a 2.9 or a 2.7 model.
I think there's even crazier now with plaid mode or the plaid version of the Model S. Man, I mean, I
They
think that
totally
thing's
ripped off
insane.
Spaceballs, wasn't
Spaceballs.
that?
Yes, I thought I had it on earlier. I had that my plaid mode shirt on earlier because of the conference call today. But
Nice.
I have my other Tesla shirt on, made by humans on Earth, or made on Earth by humans. I'm sorry.
Made on Earth by humans. That's cool.
Yeah. But that's why I love it because it was the huge conference call today. So I got to hear the numbers. I got to hear about what they're coming up with. They're going to re-engineer some of the Model 3s and some of the older vehicles and stuff too, which is super cool to hear them say.
What's up with
They,
the battery, the solid
yeah, the
state
battery
battery and
techs
stuff
and
like that?
stuff, they
Yeah.
got all that stuff going in. They're ramping up production there. They're ramping up production for. They're going to do a battery facility in Berlin too at that Berlin Gigafactory. They're already
Berlin.
building the
Oh yeah.
Texas one. So they've got gigafactories going up all over the freaking
Where's that
planet.
Texas one going? Out
Austin.
west?
Yeah, right outside of
Austin?
Austin. Yeah.
They could use it actually. They're getting hit hard, man. Not by COVID or well, whatever. But when I was there a few months back, It was bad, and the homeless problem back down there is real bad.
I could see that.
Yeah, real bad
Yeah.
there. Well, it would be a nice place to be homeless, I suppose. Like I always said, why wouldn't you go somewhere warm if that if you, not
Right.
that you're in your right state of mind, but I'm just saying, why would you be like you see the people in Chicago? You're like,
Well,
why would you
homeless
be
go to
here?
where they cater to the homeless. That's where they go.
Oh, that's
Like
fair, but
San
still,
Fran
why
is
would you go to
overrun. That's why San
negative?
Fran's overrun is
Yeah,
because they cater to the homeless like none other.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, it's a problem because if you help them, it's almost like you're
Feeding the
hurting
bears
them.
type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, dude?
Hmm.
It's
It's
a weird
enabling to some
problem to
extent.
solve.
Well, and we don't do a good enough job. I mean,
Nobody does.
there's plenty of probably vacant old hotels and
They've tried
hospitals or
that
whatever that
shit.
we could do that. I
They
know
did that in San Fran.
you would think that there's just no money in it, and that's why it doesn't get the like mental health is a horrible
It
problem in this country. There's no, especially
That's
here
it.
in Arizona, the
Yeah,
pediatric
everywhere.
mental health is horrible because, and they'll tell me at the hospital. The people that are candid enough to say there's just no money in it, and that's why it doesn't get the attention it deserves.
And yeah, exactly. No one wants to deal with that shit for sure. And it's a shame, but that's exactly the problem because like you were saying, what if they have these vacant places where they can just put all these homeless people for free? And they did that in San Fran. And here's the
But
craziest part.
you can't just
Most of
put them
them
there.
didn't even give a fuck. They were
Yeah,
back out in the park most of the time hanging out all day because that's where the action was.
that's where you
That's
gotta
where
be. Yeah.
yeah, so they gave them all this stuff and they were just like, yeah, whatever. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
want it.
Yep.
That wasn't the point, you know. That wasn't the problem, let's say.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they were homeless. Like
They're
we
like, I
keep
have a
thinking that
place to live. Like I
yeah,
live over there. Like,
yeah,
yeah. I
we
mean,
keep thinking that it's a homeless problem, but it's not a homeless problem. They don't want a home. They don't want anywhere to live. These people choose to live out there because of something else. And if we
mm,
solve that, then they'll figure everything else out. The dominoes
yeah,
just
it's
fall.
valid point, man. That's
Yeah,
really interesting because that's, and I wasn't just thinking like, here's a place to live. It was like,
sure,
here is a place we can use as a facility for
sure,
something, But again, then it's like,
definitely. That'd be way smarter.
yeah, I just don't know what that would be. Truthfully,
So
I came
hard.
up with an idea where it was for single moms, and it was like get either a multifamily home
Yeah,
where it's say it's 4 rooms,
sure.
and each, let's say, single mom or single parent, I just picked out single mom, they each have a room and they each have a child, or whatever, and then they get their income every month, but then you
Hmm.
have like a house mom who
Yep.
does the cooking and the cleaning, and the kids can stay home, and it's part of it, and then your part of your check every month goes into
To
this
all that.
account, and so
Hmm.
at the end of the year you would essentially leave here with money. You would say,
Set
like,
up
look, at the end of this
and
year,
some
you're
skills.
going to have
Yeah,
10K. You still have a job, but you don't
yeah.
have to worry about daycare, your child care, that stuff. It's like all taken care of right here. It gives them a chance to succeed, right? It's like something to
A
that
good
effect,
start.
like a good start, right? So you
Yeah.
could go there and it would be like, look, you only pay $800 a month, and it's like there's childcare, you're gonna have your grocery, blah 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 blah. You're not partying on the weekends, like
I
you're
was gonna say
here.
there
Yeah,
has to be some
there's rules.
rules.
It's almost like a
Yeah.
halfway house, so to speak. Like
Because if
there's
you show up with
rules.
a fucking Louis Vuitton bag and we're trying to make this thing work,
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
saying?
not
Like there's
babysitting your kids when you go out on date night. It's not about that. The house mom doesn't do that. It's there to take some
exactly.
of the burden off because you're a single parent, and we're going to help you get back on your. It's like a transition. It's almost like a halfway house,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's necessary. But the thing is like this. Um, people say that's what they want, right? But if somebody's in that position and a single mom is offered that help, a lot of people will refuse help because of ego or
Yeah, it's
because of
true.
pride or because they don't want somebody to find out that they're getting assistance or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy to me. So they would rather struggle and complain than take the assistance because they feel like they're going to get made fun of or they're not going to
Oh
be
yeah.
let into the cool club.
Yeah.
It's like that type of shit still exists. And when you're stuck in that type of mentality and you're stuck in that type of mode, no amount of funding, no amount of free shit is going to help anybody. You know what
Well,
I'm
and
saying?
and the point of this is it wouldn't be free. It would be like it's almost like I would consider it moving
That's what I mean.
home. But
Yeah.
some people don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
So it's like you come in, you move into my house. Now your paycheck goes to me. You get an allowance.
There you
right?
go.
Just like you're a kid,
That'll
you
help
get an
out big time.
allowance, but and here it's all laid out. Here's the budget, and at the end of the year that you stay here, you'll have $10,000 in your account. It's all yours. We're not keeping your money.
Mm-hmm.
You pay
Yeah.
your rent or whatever, but it's all budgeted. And I always thought this would be great for like people that are in debt. Come
Oh
here,
yeah.
have your parents take your, here's your allowance, and in a year you'll be debt free. Depending on how much you'll be debt free,
Yeah.
and you'll
How
have
long?
$5,000 in the
Mm-hmm.
bank. Like it's a way to get back out of the
Back to
cycle. You
zero.
know what I mean? Like it's almost like moving into your parents' house type
Starting
of
over.
thing, right? It would be
I like
it's a
it.
great little model.
It
But
is. It's just a shame that more people wouldn't do it. I know
no, it
that,
would be for like the 23-year-old single mom. Let's just say who's going to college,
mm-hmm.
right? That's like the perfect thing. She's not on welfare. She's got a job.
No.
She's hustling. She just
And she wants to make it work.
She wants
mm-hmm.
to make it work. It's I think anyway. Enough of
I
it.
like
But
it.
there's something there. It would be cool.
For sure. There's
so
a
what-
lot of ways to navigate issues, but the problem is to get enough people to buy in to kind of do some trial and error shit, and it's
Yeah, you have to just start it.
so hard.
What do you so we've been talking triathlons, we've been talking walking, Tesla, stocks a little bit to that effect. I know my buddy Tim Mahalik, brother, this showed up on my
Dungy.
doorstep.
Yeah.
Randomly. I didn't even know, but Tim said he's been reading this every day for the last 3
What?
years. Every day. And it's called the 1 Year Uncommon Life Daily Challenge. Tony Dungy.
Okay.
Now, this year, Dare to Be Uncommon every day. It's a New York Times bestseller. Now, I have to admit, it is faith-based. So it's like there's a little bit of a scripture reading, and then, here's the day. There's a little bit of a scripture reading, and then he talks about. So Tony Dungy was an NFL coach, I think, for Indiana.
A couple teams, Tampa Bay.
A couple different teams. And what happened was he was the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl in 2007.
Yep.
And so him and a bunch of coaches all got together, and they had this study, right? And then this, like, I guess you could call it a Bible study. And then, or it was during his time on that team. And then now that everybody's all across the country, this 1 page a day kept them connected because they could text and be like, "Hey, did you read today's thing?" Blah 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 blah. And
it gave them common ground.
Yeah, and the cool part about it was I started it 2 days ago. It's already making an impact in my life. And my podcast the other day was about the story in here says either join me or leave me alone. So this guy it was like in Iran, or let's just say it was during the wars, and the buildings got bombed and he couldn't find his son.
Yeah.
So he's digging and he's digging and he's digging in the rubble, and everybody's like, "Dude, they're dead. They're not in there. They're not in there." And he's like, "Look, either join me or leave me alone." And he kept digging and he kept digging. 4 days later, he heard his kid. And he opens up the thing, and there's a bunch of kids in this school, and he's like, and he kept saying, "I knew my dad would find us. I knew he wouldn't give up. I knew," and he found him. And it was like, look, either join me or just leave me alone type of things. You don't have to be negative to me. You don't have to tell, just because you don't believe what I believe, it's fine. Like, that I can do this or I can achieve that. Like, and that podcast title didn't get a lot of traction because it probably sounded like I was like complaining, the title of it.
Join me or leave me the fuck alone.
Leave me alone, but this book is great. And here is the coolest part, T. You and I have been reading a lot, and I'm actually loving reading again. The Audible's good, but I notice I kind of do something and I tone it out.
It's different.
Like I'm doing something and I'm like not listening.
It's two different experiences, dude. They're two totally different experiences.
And some books are good for it, but it has to be the right book. It can't be, but I was going to lunch and I thought I was going to be early, and I was like, well, I should just grab my book because I'll just read a little bit. And I was like, there is no reading. It's 1 page a day. So you never look at the book and feel like, oh, I should be reading more. It's none of that, which is such a great feeling.
Get in, get out.
You read your page, you've done your reading, and then you're done. There's no like looking at that book and thinking, I should be reading. I didn't read today, because I know you're doing your 20 pages a day, which is probably no big deal because it's just habit now. But for anybody looking to read, like, I know it, like I say, it's faith-based, but give it a shot because it's really cool. Like I say, it's usually like a quick, like the bolded stuff is like the
highlighted text at the top.
like Epithians or Matthew, blah blah blah, and then he tells his like take on it, and then at the end there's a question, like an uncommon key, like keep striving each day, blah blah blah, and it kind of gives you like a little. it's really cool, man. So
Dude, the
anybody
Bible's
looking,
just a
this
bunch of
is
fucking cool stories anyway. I don't know why people always like, always think of it like it's like some preachy bullshit all the time, dude. You can make it that, yeah.
hmm
But I mean,
yeah.
most of the Bible is just a bunch of kick-ass stories. I mean,
I mean, at the end of the day,
that's
they're
all
just
it is.
teaching people to not be an asshole. It's like
Right.
just be a good
Yeah.
person, you know.
But isn't like wasn't every single episode of GI Joe? Didn't they have something at the end where they were like the lesson of the day, kid? It's the same shit. So I'm saying, dude, the Bible was just the only GI Joe back in the day. It was the
I
Saturday
bet
morning cartoons, you know.
I bet that's the first reference to like the Bible and GI Joe
The
ever. Probably I
Bible
like it.
was the only reading rainbow of its time. So that's how you learned
I
the
don't think
reading
I ever
rainbow,
watched
baby.
that.
What? You never
Reading
watched the reading
Rainbow?
rainbow?
No,
Stop it. Not even in school?
I don't
Didn't
think
they
so. I went
play
to
it in, like in
Catholic
school
school.
and force feed us?
I went to Catholic
No,
school.
I don't remember
I
that.
was in church probably.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, man, the Reading Rainbow was one of those things that you couldn't get away. There was only two channels
Oh, I've
on
heard it.
back
I know.
then, Joel.
I've heard it. I remember everybody's all reading Rainbow, whatever the thing is. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean that I was watching the Great Space Coaster and some other stuff.
There
Like
you go.
all
Yeah.
news is good news with Gary Canoe. You don't
You
know
know
that
what?
guy. That's old school.
That back then there was like a different way. Like if you got brought up and your parents let you watch certain things, you just had like way more intel than everybody else that wasn't allowed to watch like HBO. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny said she was only like allowed to watch like Nick at Night, so it was like Mr. Ed, and
Yeah.
we joke about it a lot of times. She's like, "Oh yeah, like Mr. Ed and Green Acres," and she knows like all those stuff and
Of
like
course. I
My
remember
Three
hearing that in
Sons
the
and all these
background.
really
Yeah.
wholesome stuff, you know.
Yeah,
And she's like,
MASH
"Yeah,
and
that's
well, no,
all."
it's not
Oh,
MASH.
Mash is my favorite.
Yeah,
I love
MASH
it.
and what was some of the other ones back in the
I
day?
will watch Mash on like all day. I mean, I haven't in a while, but
What's
years I've spent just watching Mash
Laverne
at
and
night.
Shirley. We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
what's the
Laverne
other
and
one?
Shirley. Happy Days. It was a spin-off of like
Yeah,
Happy
Happy
Days and
Days.
stuff.
There was so many. I was always in bed though.
Joni
Like my
loves
mom would put
Chachi.
me in bed when I was little, and I
Yeah.
would hear those. Like Mash was like at like 10 o'clock or ten
Oh,
thirty after
it
the
was
news
late.
or something. It was late. Yeah, and I would hear that intro song and stuff because
It's
that
called
wasn't fully.
"Suicide is Painless" is the name of that song.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
That's
that was
hysterical
one
that
of
you
the
know
first
that.
songs I learned to play on the piano because of that.
What?
Yeah, because I would just be like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you kind of figured it out by ear.
That's how I always played.
Yeah. Oh, I thought somebody showed you or something like that, and that was like one
No,
of the
because my
basics.
mom took notice. She's like, "You started playing songs off the TV on the piano," and I thought I should get this guy in piano lessons. He's just playing
Yeah.
songs, and I
Yeah.
mean, mostly just one hand. It wasn't like that, like a savant or anything, but
You could hear it.
I
That's
could
all that
hear it, and
matters.
that's how
Yeah.
Jenny played. We both played by ear, which man, I wish I could read it. Um, but
That's a whole different
yeah,
beast.
I could at one time, but it's not to the effect where just simple,
Well,
simple
music
like simple
theory
books.
shit is like insane when you really
I don't
break
even know what
down
that means. Like music
like
theory.
dude,
What?
there's so much crazy shit involved with that class. It's out of control. It's like the
Give me an
equivalent of
example.
taking like learning an instrument, physics, math, like the hardest possible things and
Oh
putting
yeah,
them all together. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's so fucking hard. And it's like you said, it's like learning how to read music, but then you learn how to create music based on like how things go together,
See,
but
yeah,
like theory wise, like
yeah.
like
Like a
if you
triple,
play
whatever.
this sharp and this scale and this rhythm, this is the only natural progression based on this wheel of and you're just like, dude, what the, I didn't even know this shit existed,
Yeah, and to me, my brain understands. For me, just how it fits. Like I know
yeah,
that you can go from an E minor to an A minor, and it's going to sound cool, or it's going to fit. And if it doesn't fit,
right.
it doesn't fit. So it's
And
like
just trial and error. Dun, dun,
it's
dun,
trial
dun,
and error.
dun,
What
dun,
I
dun,
think
dun,
sounds
dun,
good to
dun,
me,
dun,
and
dun. Yep.
how you might sing to a note, and you want it to sound like something, so you can sing
Oh yeah.
kind of on the side of a note to make it. I don't know.
Dude,
It
that
just
Tom
fits
York is the
differently.
master of that in Radiohead,
What's that?
like you said, he'll make his lyrics fit. He'll sing his lyrics
Yeah,
into the song instead
yeah.
of writing his lyrics to fit the song. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's how I do it. I
Yeah,
will fit my lyrics to the rhythm that I write, into the
sure.
style I'm writing. Like if you start with that minor chord, it's got a more of a, could be a sadder tone. It's got like that's what minor chords are. I
Well,
mean, they're
here,
like emotional, like,
but I'm saying more
and
like
so
this. So
I
like,
will like, oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Okay,
Well,
here, I'll finish real quick.
okay.
So like, if you were writing a song, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the lyrics, like, I please just take me home, right? And then the song, is like, da na na. Instead, so you're like, shit, that's too long. Please don't take me home. Won't fit. Please, or let's go home instead. So you change the lyrics because you know it won't fit, but you want to say the same thing. Do you do
100%.
that?
100%. You
Okay.
have to,
So,
because otherwise it won't fit in tempo.
so
Or I
check
like
this
to do
out.
what Willie Nelson does, is I'll sing it longer.
Yes.
Willie
So that's
Nelson
what I'm
is
saying.
famous for like being lazy, and he'll like sing like through the beat, but it's still on time. It's really
Okay.
cool.
Give
So
me
he'll
an
be like,
example of that. Yeah.
like if the chord was gonna strum, he'd like, I've been lonely, but he'll be like, there's a perfect sign in Mendocino County line where he's like, it's like Mendocino County line, where it's like, he lets it like go through almost to the next beat, but I don't know, and it's just lazy enough where it's still on time, but he just kind of lets it bleed.
It's not on grid. No, I know what you're saying. But what I
So
was saying about Tom York is, instead of him changing the lyrics of the song, what he'll do is he'll sing the phrase where it's like, please just take me home. He'll turn that into the entire verse. So he'll sing like,
oh yeah,
please just
I cannot,
take. He'll
I would not
stretch
do
the
that.
words
Yeah.
to make it fit the whole entire stanza, or like that beat, like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
instead of cutting it and changing all the words.
That's
Like,
interesting.
yeah,
I end up
you know what I'm
using my
saying?
voice
Like operatic
as
or something.
percussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah, I couldn't do that because I'm real staccato with my words. I'm real short and quick with them, and
Yep.
I don't like. That's why ballads are when you're like, ah, like,
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
something I like to do, because
Yes.
you have to hit the note so clear, and I can hit the
Yes.
note, but holding the note
Oh,
is different.
that's why you have to be almost classically trained. That's what I was
That's a good
saying.
point. Yeah.
And you have to warm up. Like when you hear Tom York warming
Oh
up
yeah.
behind, backstage, he warms up like an opera singer. He hits the
Yeah.
whole entire range, and he goes through all the scales and shit.
That's another thing. Warming up. I mean, going out running, it's like 95% of the people probably don't even stretch right before. So
Right.
I'll run a little bit, then I'll stop. I'll take a huge drink of
Yeah.
water.
I don't stretch
I'll
cold.
do a little bit of stretching,
Yeah. I stretch
but
warm.
I mean, it's like that's I don't warm up when I sing, except I don't know this, but that little Smule app, the
I
little
like that.
karaoke thing,
Yeah.
that I practice. I sing those all the
That's a
time
good
just
way.
because I like singing, but it's actually
Yeah.
practice. You
No,
know,
100%, dude.
I'm about to
Doesn't
sign up.
matter if you're on a tennis machine or if you're playing against Rafael Nadal, you're still practicing tennis.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of tennis, see that little bugger, my little son with the broken arm? You should see him hit a lefty now.
I
He's like,
like
Dad,
it.
let's just go play. I'm gonna play
Yeah,
lefty.
that's what I was saying.
I was like, fuck
Just say, yeah, just grab it and start bashing, bro. Let's do it.
yeah. I know we're pushing at 11 for you. You wanted to keep it.
Yeah,
What
I
we'll
just
do
wanted to
is,
keep it under an hour because I
yeah.
get crazy on these calls because we have too much fun. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, Rach is in full training mode now since we quote unquote signed up, even though you don't have to sign up,
Oh yeah, I meant to touch on. Can we touch on what we're doing with the
Sure, real quick.
virtual?
Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll
for
put a
sure.
link in below. So you want
But
to
she's in full
preface?
training mode. Yeah, so
Okay.
she's already like, she's got the regimen going with, like working out. She's all about closing the rings now, like
Tell me
we
the
are.
training, because we're doing this on November 6th, 7th, 8th,
Yeah.
which is my
And
son's
then,
birthday
I
weekend,
mean,
and I'm still gonna do it.
it's so crazy. Yeah, you can make this happen, dude. I'm telling you. So I'm hanging out, and I don't know what I was doing. I was watching something on TV yesterday. She comes out of the room, and she's got all the freaking things printed out for
There you
each one of the
go.
days and everything already. And she
Oh,
hands this shit to me, and she's like, "You're all right. Let's do this." And I was just like, "Okay." So she's got it all ready to go already.
so it's a
She was
virtual Spartan race.
Yeah, and it's a perfect way just to get, you know,
It's
back into
free,
shape.
by the way,
Yeah, it's
which
free.
is
Anyone can
key.
sign up. You just got to go to Spartan's website.
Okay,
We can put it in the show notes
I
here,
will do this when we're done.
for sure. And then you can do it at your own pace. no one's going to be there to laugh at you or
Judge you.
judge you
Yeah.
or just say that you're suck or take too long. None of that'll happen. You get to do it however you want, as long as you finish it within the 24 hours of the
This
day.
is great. Yeah.
And then you use a program like they tell you which ones you can use, but you can use any of them that'll spit out that data file. It has to spit out this data file. And I'm going to test this for us, Joel, so we don't
Okay.
get screwed
Okay.
over here. Me
Yeah.
and
Okay.
Rachel already talked about this because we
Okay.
have Strava. We have a bunch of the programs that they're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about. We've
People
already
have been
used all
telling
of
me to
them.
get on Strava. My
Yeah, we
buddy's like,
have
you
all
got to
that.
get on Strava. I was
It's
like, all
dope,
right.
dude. Like I'll get back into that.
Okay.
But once you do that, you just run it with the Strava app running on your watch or whatever you have on your phone. You don't even have to have a watch. You could just keep your phone on you, and
Okay.
it'll monitor what you're doing.
Okay.
And then you just download that file and you or you take that file and you upload it to your Spartan account through the app on your phone or through the website on the computer, however you want to do it. And then and you're in. And then they show you the leaderboard based on a couple different criteria. You could search by your age, by your
Yeah.
sex, by whatever. And then they have one Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Each one of them is a different length. So 5K is the Friday, 10K is Saturday, and then the half marathon is Sunday.
But you said you
And
could go in any order.
yes, you
Is
you
what
don't
I
have to
was
do
under the impression, because I was going to do
right
the long one first.
first. Yes, you could do the beast first. You could do the half marathon the first day. You could do the easy one the second day, and then the 10K the third day. However you want to do it, it
Yeah.
just has to be within the 24 hours of said day. And then, like I was
This
saying, I
is
just
cool,
showed you guys
guys.
here.
Yeah.
These, it's hard to see right now, but
It's
when
all
you
right.
sign up, they're going to spit this out. And these are just workout moves that you have to complete as well. And I'll read a couple of them just so you guys can see. So, like the first one on this sprint 5K, 20 obstacles, the first thing here, and you can do these in any order as well. And you don't have to do them, all 10 right away. You can do 5 and then
Go
5
for a
later,
jog and
whatever.
then blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is 10 body weight squats. Totally easy. The second one is 10 knee hug sit jumps. So I would just assume that would be like, your
Jump up and
sit
pull
ups.
your knees to your chest.
Sit
Or
ups.
something.
Yes,
Oh,
your
sit
sit
up.
ups. I'm sorry, I thought it was jumps. It's sit
Okay.
ups. So you would just be doing sit ups and literally just hug your knees per side. And so you'd be going to the left to the right. So 20 total there. 10 squat jump taps. So some of these things we might have to figure out
Yeah.
what
You
they are
jump up,
too.
tap your knees, like jump
Okay,
up, like,
boom.
yeah,
All right, I
probably
did. There
just,
you go. So there you
yeah,
go. I
like
didn't
up.
even know that.
Yeah.
So it's just making you commit to so you can get your knees up.
Yeah.
10 plank with shoulder taps per side, 10 crab toe touches, 10 20-second elbow plank. All
This
stuff
is
that
great.
people can totally do. 10 burpees, 10 lateral squats, 10 lateral squats on the left side, 10 pike press push-ups, push-ups, 10 straight leg sit-ups. You get the idea.
Yeah.
And then you just do that, knock them out. Keep that on Strava too. So when you're doing all these workout moves, you keep that on Strava as well.
Okay.
And so when you hit start on your Strava app on here, do everything. And then when you're done, that's when you hit stop. It's not just monitor your run, it's monitor everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
monitor
what
it
do
all.
we win? Where there's this cool thing that you can do if you
Dude,
qualify. If you
no doubt.
qualify.
Well, if you do all three,
or whatever. Yeah, if you do all three,
three.
that's right. You have to do the trifecta thing.
Yes.
But if you do all three,
and you upload each one of them
yep.
into their website, you automatically qualify, regardless of how shitty your times are.
Good. Okay, cool. I thought it
No
was
matter what.
like,
Even if
you
it's like
only
23
get
hours
your
and
name.
59 minutes, baby.
I thought you only got your
If you're top 200 or 500 or
300,
whatever
it
that
said.
was,
Spartan 300. Yeah.
there you go. Top
Yeah.
300. That makes more sense. Top 300, you get your name put on that wall for the championships next year. But that doesn't even matter. Even if you don't get your name put up, you can
like
go.
up on this. Oh,
you
yeah.
can go to Sparta in Greece and run that race. As long as we upload all three of those races,
should we do that?
You qualify, and you can go in 2021 next year at this time, early November.
Jenny's
that's
always
when they
wanted to go to Greece.
And they're running a Spartan World Championship in Sparta.
Let's do it.
Dude, I mean, like the first step is to qualify. So we're going to do the first step coming up right here.
I'm excited.
Then we can talk about what's next.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing to have in the back of the mind, though. Like, it's like, hey, if we qualifying, we can go. Well, we could do this, but we can't until we get step one. So, this is going to be fun. I'm glad that you sent that to me, and I'm glad that you guys are on it. I've been trying to recruit, but this is a hard recruit.
Sparta.
No, so thanks for that, and we'll give you guys an update. There will be a show, a link down there because it's free, which was cool because they could easily charge $100 and people would do
Easily.
it anyway,
Yes,
but they're not, and so I
they're not.
appreciate that. Yeah.
And I'm still going to support them. So I want to tell you what one of the other things I did. There's
Well,
a
you could buy the gear, like you can buy the
yes, there
shirt
was
and
an
everything. Yeah.
upgrade. Yes, there
Yeah.
was an upgrade package
Yep.
available. And like I said, I'm a huge Joe DeSena fan, and
I
everybody
did.
should look him up too in the farm. Um, so I did. I upgraded me and Rachel to the trifecta package so that we get the Delta, we get the 2 t-shirts, we get all the cool shit because like you said,
It's gonna be so fun.
I gotta add to the collection, dude.
That's
You
so
know?
cool, man.
Yeah.
No, I discounted these things when I first saw these things come out. I was like, I don't know, but it's like I see that they are challenging and they are just the team building of the people around you
Exactly.
that you don't even know that are
Nope.
reaching their hand out to help you through the mud.
Yep.
That's my
That's what
that's
the
my
world
jam.
needs more
That's
of,
my
bro.
jam. You're right.
We need one big motherfucking Spartan race in this entire world. But it all starts with this one coming up, man. So everybody should sign up. Everybody should reach out to me and Joe. You can reach out to me at orionthehunter22@gmail.com. Let me know if you're running it. Let me know what your times are. Let me know if you're going to Sparta. You can
Oh yeah.
reach Joel at
Joel Pilka at Gmail. Just bring it straight. Joel Pilka at Gmail. And I would love to know who's going because we can
yes.
share that stuff and we can pump each other
We
up.
can meet up.
We can meet up.
If people that are listening to this show honestly do this, they qualify. And or if you just want to go to on a Spartan race and you're in one of our areas, I live in Chicago, Joe lives in Phoenix. He might be moving to Nebraska, so we live all over the fucking place. If you and I go to Spartan races all over, so if you're interested in going to one of these, definitely email us and let us know which one you're going to. We might be going to that one too, and we will run it with you, and we can
That's what
make a
I'm
huge
saying.
fucking podcast squad.
Dude, that would
Dude, you
be a
should
lot of
see.
fun.
There's I gotta go, but
Yeah.
there's these dudes that you'll see at these races that run in these huge gigantic groups, and one of them was like, and we were out in the Glacier National Park and doing that one, and they were like, we're the Iowa Cornbread Boys, and there was like 500 of these motherfuckers, dude, and they were running all
Oh,
together. They all had there's orange t-shirt or these yellow t-shirts with these like corn cobs on the back and shit, and they had like this saying and these songs and shit that they would be singing as they were like trekking through, and like this. Oh, it's
gosh.
so badass, dude.
Could you imagine?
It's-
You got your crew, you're doing your little.
they're like, yeah, we're the cornbread boys, and then we're the cornbread boys. And everyone's like, marching behind him and shit. Dude, it was so cool. We're my cornbread boys, and then everyone's like, whoop whoop whoop. And oh, dude, it's so badass, dude.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
so
wait.
cool. And then it
Let's
gets
do it.
everybody else pumped up, and then other people
Yeah.
start getting in, and they start doing like like the little dance and the fucking song and shit that aren't even in the group.
Yeah. It's like
It's so
we're
cool.
coming with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff, brother. Get some rest.
It's only just begun. Let's chat again next time, and then we'll keep talking about some of this shit. We can start throwing out some maybe some plans or some workouts or some training shit that we're doing.
Yeah, because
And
it's
get
going to
everyone
be.
involved.
I mean, next week. I'm just seeing the calendar. I mean, obviously it's in 2 weeks. So I mean, if we do this next week, we'll be a
That's
week
right.
out. It'll be great. It'll be
Perfect.
great. All right, y'all.